All right. Before I begin the video, I want to start off by saying, Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harakak Badash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well, and honors to you brothers who are bringing out this word in sincerity and in faith all across the four corners of the earth. All right, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harakak Badash, Barakatham, and to you, are you sincere and hopeful elect, man. So I'm going to just go ahead and start off with a scripture and then just let the video play. So this is Malachi chapter 4 and verse 1. For behold, the day cometh, it shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. Talking about Eve, right? And the day that shall burn as an oven, right? And all the proud, that's talking about not only Eve, right? But that's talking about you, other nations that are here in America and 2/3 of Israel, right? He says, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. That's when you start a fire, you need something to put in the fire, right? That's that stubble. So let me get the definition of stubble while I got this up. So the definition for stubble is the basal. So, the base part of herbaceous plants and especially cereal grasses remaining attached to the soil after harvest. Woo! So after the elect is beamed up in the chariots, right? What's left? What's left after the harvest? When you're harvesting corn, right? And they've taken the choice corn and all the corn that didn't get chosen, right? Because it had problems with it or whatever the case is, it had disease on it. It's left behind, and then what happens? It's burned. Okay, so it says here, all right. It says, and especially cereal grasses. So yeah, what is wheat? That's what most of these cereals are made out of, wheat. All right, so what the Lord is saying is that the elect are going to be the end by missile, right? ICBM missile is going to come here in America, right? So it says, stubble, a rough surface or growth resembling stubble. So, like I said, when they get done cutting down all the wheat, they get done cutting down all the corn and whatnot, they have kind of that remaining stubble. And of course, corn or the wheat that didn't get chosen, right? Let me just, through the spirit, let me just read that again. Definition of stubble, right? The basal part, so the base part of herbaceous plants and especially cereal grasses remaining attached to the soil after harvest. So you're going to have 2/3 of Israel, you other nations, and here in America are going to be attached to the soil. You're not going to be taken up. You know what I mean? That's beautiful, man. That's a beautiful definition. Okay, so going back to this, let me just go ahead and let this play.
Tonight, this should be.
Mess up here. Playback speed. Normal.
Storms we come on the air on the heat.
heels of deadly tropical storm Claudette. A state of emergency declared in Alabama after Claudette left at least 14 dead, 9 of them children, killed in a horrific pile up on a slick highway. Tornadoes touching down in the south and the Midwest, a potential EF3 in the Chicago suburbs. And tonight, more severe weather on the move, 37 million at risk from Tennessee up through Maine. Al Roker timing it up for us. Also, new concerns over the Delta variant, the state's most at risk, and the alarming data from the CDC on vaccinations. The new warning for younger Americans. Travel troubles as summer heats up. Why American Airlines canceled hundreds of flights, even as the TSA hits a new pandemic record. And on board the first U.S. test cruise in 15 months, is the industry ready to set sail again? The major victory for college athletes at the Supreme Court in their battle with the NCAA. Amazon's Prime Day is here, but this summer rivals are offering dueling deals. And history in the NFL, the first active player to come out as gay.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening. Claudette is making her way out to sea tonight, but not before the tropical storm took a deadly and damaging swing at the Gulf Coast and southeast, causing at least 14 deaths and spawning destructive tornadoes. Alabama taking the brunt of it, parts of it under states of emergency tonight. Another violent weather outbreak causing damage and injuries outside of Chicago overnight. And as we come on the air, big parts of the Northeast are under severe thunderstorm alerts and warnings. Al Roker is tracking it all, but let's begin with Kathy Park in Alabama.
Tonight, the Southeast picking up the pieces after a lashing from Tropical Storm Claudette. Alabama's governor declaring a state of emergency in 8 counties so residents like Destiny Ward can rebuild.
Is that your trailer over there?
Yes, all that's inclusive in my trailer. She survived a tornado with 3 young kids by her side.
I picked my 1-year-old daughter up and had her on my chest, and then my other 2 kids ran up to my legs, and the moment that happened, you can feel the trailer lift up and slide.
The weather took several unexpected turns throughout the day. The local fire chief just came out telling us to take cover and to leave the area immediately because another strong storm is headed this way.
The severe weather also being blamed for at least 14 deaths. Officials say a hydroplaning car triggered a multi-vehicle wreck in southern Alabama, killing 10. Most of the victims were children, ages 4 to 17, traveling in a small bus owned by a residential home for youth.
I've never seen anything like it. It was horrific.
And overnight, more extreme weather in the Midwest, activating tornado sirens in the Chicago suburbs of Naperville. Intense winds, snapping trees, and downing power lines.
This went through very quickly, and it's amazing the power of what weather can do in high winds.
Forecasters saying the system energized Claudette once more before pushing out to sea. A dangerous start to the first full day of summer and the beginning of hurricane season.
And Kathy, as we noted at the top, the threat of severe weather isn't over.
Lester, that is right. The severe threat isn't over, and that is a big concern here on the ground with the cleanup efforts already underway. Many people say it could take a matter of months. It took just seconds for folks to lose just about everything. Lester?
All right, Kathy, thanks. Let's drill down on that next threat now with tens of millions still at risk. Al Roker is here. Al, what can we expect?
Lester, we're not done by a long shot. We've got 1,000 miles worth of severe thunderstorm watches tonight as a front makes its way toward the Northeast. 37 million people at risk for winds of over 70 miles per hour, damaging winds, hail, tornadoes possible. The greatest risk, Maine to Tennessee tonight. Tomorrow, the heavy rain shifts down to the southeast with downpours, heavy flooding, 1 to 2 inches of rain in the Northeast, but we're looking anywhere 3 inches or more through the southeast. Lester?
Al Roker tonight, thank you. Let's turn now to the increasing threat from the Delta coronavirus variant. The World Health Organization warning it will pick off the more vulnerable more efficiently, especially where vaccination rates are low. Our national correspondent, Miguel Almaguer, has the latest.
As our nation returns closer to pre-pandemic life, tonight the Delta variant is COVID's most serious threat, the most dangerous strain so far, now contributing to a rise in infections in 8 states. Just as concerts sell out and summer crowds return to popular venues, the unvaccinated could prolong and exacerbate the pandemic.
It's starting to accelerate really quickly in the U.S. So last week, about 10% of the virus isolates with the Delta variant. Now it's up to 19%. So it seems to have pretty regular doubling.
While 65% of adults are at least partially vaccinated, the Delta variant has now been detected in nearly every state and is gaining a stronger foothold in regions highlighted here with low vaccination rates. In Missouri, the Delta variant has been found in wastewater, showing its vast community spread.
It's coming. You're at risk. You're a sitting duck if you're not vaccinated.
Across the country, the vaccine holdouts remain the young. Less than 40% are inoculated, compared to more than double that rate for seniors. But perhaps those most in jeopardy are children under 12 who can't yet get vaccinated.
When you're vaccinated, you serve as a wall, as a barrier to infection coming into your home, into your community. The more of us that can get vaccinated, the bigger of a wall we can build around our children who are still too young to get vaccinated. It's how we protect our kids.
Described as COVID on steroids, the Delta variant is fueling the next wave of cases here in the U.S. But experts say if enough people get vaccinated, there won't be a surge. Lester?
A reminder, we're not done with this yet. Miguel, thanks. You can make a plan for when and where to get vaccinated. Visit planyourvaccine.com for more. In just 60 seconds, hundreds of flights canceled and thousands of passengers stranded as airlines struggle to meet surging demand. And the major change to a tax benefit so many families count on. A big victory for student athletes tonight and a big loss for the NCAA. The Supreme Court ruling that it cannot restrict academic perks that student athletes receive. So could this lead to college athletes eventually get...
All right, so I didn't get a chance to pause it when it was showing the Supreme Court. But when you look at the Supreme Court, all right, what does that remind you of? That reminds you of Rome. All right, from the steps to the columns to the top. And that's how you know that we are in Rome all over again, man. Just look at that. You can even see over here to the right, you can see a little bit closer as far as the infrastructure. That's very elaborate, okay? And it was most likely Jake that made all this. Jake did make all this, okay, through the spirit. That's very intricate. You can see at the top here. I don't know exactly what it says, but it has people, which is probably E up there.
getting paid. Here's Pete Williams.
The decision was a shutout, a unanimous ruling against the NCAA's claim that limits on classroom perks for athletes help preserve the amateur status of college sports, which it says is essential to the fans. The court said the NCAA cannot limit education-related benefits, including computers, musical instruments, and scholarships or internships after student athletes are no longer playing. The ruling did not directly address the bigger issue, whether student athletes can be paid, but it suggested the NCAA might lose on that too. The victory for former Clemson football player Martin Jenkins, one of the players who sued.
It is an absolute win. And I'm thrilled for what the future is. I'm glad these gates are finally being burst open.
Justice Brett Kavanaugh said the NCAA's business model would be flatly illegal in almost any other industry in America. He said restaurants, for example, can't band together to cut wages for their employees on the theory that customers prefer food prepared by low-paid cooks.
This could be the beginning of the end for the college amateurism model and open the door for college athletes to receive payment to play, payment to attend a school or transfer school.
The NCAA must soon decide what to do about a growing number of state laws that explicitly allow athletes to be paid for the use of their names or likenesses.
The ruling is a blow to a system that generates billions for everyone but the athletes. Tonight, the NCAA says it hopes Congress will now act to limit how they can be paid. Lester?
All right, Pete Williams, thank you. For the first time ever today, an active player in the NFL announced he is gay. Las Vegas Raiders defensive end Carl Nassib made the announcement on Instagram, saying he has the best life, the best family, friends, and job a guy can ask for. Americans are traveling again and planning to vacation with a vengeance. Tonight, how this has caught at least one airline off guard and how the cruise industry is getting ready to set sail again. We begin with Tom Costello.
From checkpoints to coach to customs, an unexpected crush of flyers eager for a post-COVID escape. More than 2 million passengers on Sunday, the most since before the pandemic, forcing airlines to scramble. Throw in bad weather and stranded passengers, and American Airlines was forced to cancel 400 flights over the weekend, hundreds more today. Thousands of travelers affected, and plans to cancel up to 80 per day till mid-July.
The thing about airlines is you can't just turn a light switch and have them restart again.
After pandemic furloughs and early retirements, American is now short on ground staff, flight attendants, and pilots who must go through retraining before returning, just as families like Brittany Harrison and her girls take to the skies.
We're just going to get the girls out on the beach and, just have a great time.
The airline already notifying July passengers if their flights are changing. It may mean you're booked on an earlier flight, a later flight, or you're routed through a city you weren't expecting. American says we made targeted changes with the goal of impacting the fewest number of customers. American is struggling, but still flying more flights than its competitors as everyone ramps up to handle the passenger surge. Meanwhile, with an unprecedented increase in unruly, disruptive, even violent behavior on board, often over the mask mandate, the nation's airlines are tonight asking the Justice Department to fully prosecute anyone who behaves violently towards flight crews or passengers, pushing for fines and jail time. Tom Costello, NBC News, Washington.
This is Kerry Sanders at Port Miami, where for 15 months there have been no passengers. But on Sunday, a cruise ship with volunteer passengers finally set sail. Freedom of the Seas now putting Royal Caribbean's new COVID health and safety protocols to the test. The 2-day cruise around the Bahamas with employees as passengers, everyone vaccinated. The proof of performance trip required by the Centers for Disease Control.
We have spent a lot of time as a company, as an industry, thinking through a lot of what needs to be done, and that gives me confidence.
Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis established a new law in the state. No company can require citizens prove they're vaccinated. That no vaccine passport law also applies to cruise ships.
You had people flying on airplanes, going to theme parks, doing all, but somehow this one industry was being shut down by an agency that didn't really have the legal authority to do that.
The first cruise since the pandemic with paying passengers is scheduled to leave on Saturday. Lester?
All right, Kerry, thanks. Let's talk about a big change coming to a tax break so many families depend on, the child tax credit. Stephanie Rule has what you need to know.
Good morning, girls.
Connie Sierra lives in San Antonio, Texas, with her family, including 2 school-age special needs kids. She's the sole breadwinner.
Can you get me the brush?
Finances are always tight. The pandemic made them untenable.
It's been really difficult to stay above water with the grocery bill going up anywhere from 5 to 10% every single week.
Every year, Connie, along with millions of American families, relies on the child tax credit she receives when filing her taxes. But this summer, that once-a-year benefit becomes monthly.
The fact that it's moved to monthly, does that make a big difference in your life? Yes, it makes a huge difference. It means we don't have to put off all the little things.
Families will receive $300 a month for every child under the age of 6 and $250 for those up to 17 years old, with the credit phasing out the more parents earn. Another change, more families will receive the benefit.
If you didn't make enough money to file your taxes, you actually were ineligible for the child tax credit.
Now the Biden administration expects nearly 90% of children will qualify.
This policy change has the potential to reduce the rate of child poverty in the United States by nearly half.
While expanding the tax credit will cost an estimated $100 billion a year, experts say child poverty currently costs nearly $1 trillion annually. For Connie and so many families, this monthly support could provide the stability they need.
We'd actually have that little bit of a buffer and maybe be able to build our savings back up.
Stephanie, these payments end in December, correct?
Yes, they do. However, as part of President Biden's infrastructure plan, he wants to extend them until 2025. And that's being negotiated by lawmakers right now. Lester?
Stephanie, thank you. Now to our series, The Future of the Force. After a year of facing unrest, more and more police officers are leaving the job, and many say morale has plummeted.
They're going to keep leaving the job. They're going to keep leaving the job, all right? The future of the force, there is no future, for the force. You're going to have these members of the military stepping down. You're going to have different members of the police stepping down, different high-level people within, just about every driving force, different individuals as far as fire department. All right, they're going to be stepping down now. So let me go ahead and share this real quick. Slovakia. So continuing on from Malachi 4:1. Malachi chapter 4, verse 2. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings. So our Lord, right, how about Hashem Yahushua, is going to be coming. See, because Yahweh himself isn't going to be sent here to avenge the elect. He's going to send his son. Okay? So that's what it means right there when it says the son of righteousness. Okay, arise with healing in his wings. And what's that healing that's going to be in his wings? Well, not only is that the new bodies, for the elect children of Israel, but it also comes with, right, the enslavement of the wicked, right? The fulfillment of prophecy, right? It's just like it says in the book of Revelations that when our Lord returns, he's going to basically restore Israel, roughly paraphrasing. It says, and ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall. And ye shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith the Lord of hosts. So not only are they going to be ashes, but when the kingdom is established in the land of Israel, man, they're going to be up under us. Right? The Lord is going to make these other nations a footstool of Yahushua. We are Lord's will, we're of that number. We're going to be heirs of that righteousness. Man. We're going to be alongside the Heavenly Father's Son as righteous slaves. See, because, like the elder was speaking about, I can't remember exactly which elder brother it was, but he was speaking about how, we are going to be slaves in the kingdom too. And we're going to be righteous slaves. We're going to be slaves in righteousness. We're going to be up under Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, doing his will by what? Being perfect. We're not going to have the ability to go off, right? Which really is the ultimate subjection, right? When you have a slave, what is the best slave you can have? One that doesn't go against your wishes. So by us not having the ability to sin, us not having the ability to go against our Heavenly Father's wishes, we are going to be the ultimate righteous slave, man. All right, the elect of Israel. And really, Israel as a whole is going to have that perfect body. You know what I mean? With the elect of Israel, right? That 144,000 at 1/3 is going to be the top members of the nation of Israel. It says, "And he shall tread down the wicked." So how's that going to be? How are we going to tread down the wicked? By instituting them laws. We're going to be beating your ass down. Slacking. We're going to be beating you down day in and day out. You know, the only time we're not going to be doing that, okay, is on the Sabbath. All right, so saith the Lord of hosts. So Heavenly Father has said that. He's not a man that he should lie, right? Malachi chapter 4, verse 4. Remember ye the laws of Moses, my servant. So Moses was a righteous slave. We have to be righteous slaves. Okay? We have to be robots. Which when you think of the word robot, you're thinking of you're thinking of an android or something like that. But let's get the definition for a robot. So this is the definition for a robot. A device that automatically performs complicated, often repetitive tasks. A mechanism guided by automatic controls. Okay. A person who resembles a machine in seeming to function automatically or in lacking normal feelings or emotions. Okay, so we have to be robots right now, and then in the kingdom we're going to be perfect robots, right? Because right now we are a person who resembles a machine in seeming to function automatically. This is just something we do. You wake up, you're thinking about the Lord. You go to sleep, you're thinking about the Lord. You're watching these different videos. You're studying. You know, this is automatic. That's why we have to pray that this continues to be automatic for us. You know, your brothers out there, man. Okay, it says, or in lacking normal feelings or emotions. When people say that, people say that we're not normal. But in all actuality, the men of the Lord are some of the most normal acting people on earth. You know what I mean? They're very likable. And it's not about being liked in the eyes of the world, but for the most part, you know, when you go to the store, you're walking down the street, you know, you're at your job or whatever, you know, the people are in agreement with you. You know? They take a certain liking to you because they see that you lack those normal feelings and emotions, because we know what it is. We're not freaking out about everything and tripping about the different things that happen in our day. We're just, it is what it is, you know, because that's the will of the Lord. You know, you see these different things that are happening in these news stories. That's the will of the Lord. You know, so we have to be like that. Right? Example B, a mechanism guided by automatic controls. So we are automatically guided by Yahweh Shem Shai. Okay. Oh, so here's example number 1, definition of robot. A machine that resembles a living creature in being capable of moving independently and performing complex actions. So right now we are, even though we are independently moving, right, we move upon it's like we move upon the direction of Yahweh Shem Shai. Okay, when I say that we're moving independently, we each brother has been given certain tasks to do. You know, that's why it says in the scriptures to seek your own salvation. Yet, even though we're independently doing that, we are all fall under one accord, all right, through the teachings of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, all right, through the elder apostles of Great Millstone, which are the top men of the Lord today. So let me go back to the scriptures. Malachi 4:4. Remember ye the law of Moses my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and judgments, which when you read Genesis, Deuteronomy, Lamentations, okay, these were things, not things, but these were books that were set up, right, through Moses to be pushed. And when you first come into the truth, that's the spirit, because a lot of brothers like me, when I first came into this truth, it was upon hearing Deuteronomy, it was upon hearing Leviticus, it was upon hearing Lamentations, Genesis, you know. And I came in during the time in which elders were still speaking on the basics, so to speak. Now the way that things are going and the speed in which the prophecies are coming to pass, the basics are still being brought up, but it's more in the format now of, like the elder apostle John says, if you're not catching up, if you're not catching on, then we moving the fuck on, you know. And you have to understand that it's just like your teacher in school. The teacher, he's going to teach for the first 4 weeks. He's going to teach the same repetitive thing, but as time goes on, he's going to get more and more advanced, and he's going to expect you to keep up. Yet you have to go back to the basics, and that's why it says that, remember ye the law of Moses my servant. We have to remember the basics, and to be completely honest, the basics are some of the hardest scriptures to understand, because even though it's quote unquote simple, it's a lot of information to get. So a lot of times, the brothers skip over the Deuteronomy. That's very important to know, that we came on slave ships, to know that everything that we do is cursed, and to know that was caused by the Heavenly Father. So in order for us to know the more deeper meanings of the scriptures, we have to know the basics also. That's why it says that, remember ye the law of Moses my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and judgments. So the Lord was dealing with Moses. He was dealing with Moses on a face-to-face level, and through Moses, right, the children of Israel, specifically the elect of the children of Israel, was coming into a certain understanding. But the Lord was mainly dealing with Moses, Aaron, Caleb. He was dealing with the men. He was dealing with men exclusively. And that's a lot like how the 144,000 is a representative for the 1/3. Because Moses, Moses is a part of that elect. He's a part of that 144,000. You know what I mean? Set up, in the kingdom of heaven to come. Moses ain't gonna be an afterthought. He ain't gonna be a just a side character. No, Moses is a very pivotal character in this true story. Without Moses, where would we be, man? Moses was set up, okay, to be the ultimate definition of a servant. And see, Moses got tired of you niggas too, 2/3 of Israel. You know? But anyways, Malachi 4:5. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. So prior to the time of Jacob's trouble and all hell breaking loose, right? The Most High sent Elijah the prophet, right? So you have Elijah the prophet, which was high priest Abba Bivens, if you can receive that. Who the Lord put the spirit on him to go into the New Testament, and the Lord put the spirit on him to understand what was in the New Testament during the time in which, brothers only understood the Old Testament, and even if they understood the Old Testament, they didn't understand all of it. They may have understood bits and pieces, but the Lord specifically was working on a very high level, a high priest of Bivens, right? Who wound up teaching high priest Arya, King Marsha, high priest Yaquab, these men that we hear our elder apostles talk and speak so fondly of. These are the men that taught them the truth. Just like we speak very fondly of our elder apostles. Elder Apostle Tahar, Elder Apostle Gabar, Elder Apostle Ramla, Elder Apostle Rakah. You know what I mean? The elders out there in Connecticut. The different elders out there in New York. And the different elders that are spread out throughout the U.S. We speak the U.S. and abroad. And we speak very fondly because these are the men that reached out to us, whether it was through the internet, whether it was through us seeing them on the highways and byways, and they brought this word out, which really that's how Hashem Yahushua working through those men. But these are the men that taught us the things that we know today. So the same way the elder apostle Tahar speaks on, High Priest Yaquab, King Marsha, these men. That's how we look at our elders, man. That's why it says in the scriptures to, give double honors to the elder apostles, because that's a heavy work, man. Okay. Let me just hold that. I think it's in 2 Timothy. I can't remember exactly where, but it says, "Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord." So the Most High did that. He did that through Slakia, through High Priest Abba Bivens, who, if you can receive it, was Elijah the prophet. And when you look at the pictures of him, man, you can tell that the spirit is very heavy on that man. You just look at the pictures, man. You're like, yeah, man, this was a man of the Lord. I've heard a little bit of audio from him. If you go online, you can probably type it in. I heard it in a brother's video. He re-uploaded High Priest Ariel speaking, High Priest Yaquab speaking, King Marsha speaking. I seen a video of King Marsha and High Priest Ariel teaching in New York City, and there was a very profound spirit upon them. and I heard some audio of High Priest Papa Bivens speaking. The Spirit was working with him, and you see that's the late 60s, early 70s, you know. So this is a time in which, you know, Jake had the Love Everybody movement. Jake had, you know, the Panthers. Jake had all these different groups. Yet, amongst all those different worldly ass groups, you had actual men of the Lord that were here teaching, man. Okay. All right, and they taught in a place, right? When you think about it, New York City, you have millions upon millions. You know, really the biggest city in America. So you got to think about that. That's like that's where the Chaldeans are. That's where a lot of the elite are. You know, that's a very important, well-established place, man. So the Lord chose that place, okay, and had men rise up there to speak about the evils and the wickedness of evil, and also to lift up brothers and to teach brothers who eventually taught us, man. Okay, and that's the importance of this, is to teach brothers also. Let me read this and let me get that. Malachi 4:6. He shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. That's beautiful, man. Okay, this is First Timothy, Salaki. 1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse 17. Let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honor, especially they who labor in the word and doctrine. So not only do we give double honors, you know, to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, but also the men that taught them that, you know, are either not in the truth no more, or they're teaching falsely. Like High Priest Ariad, you know, is teaching falsely. He's saying that, you know, the other nations basically can make it, you know, which is not true. But you know, we still hope and pray to see that man get taken up by the chariots, man. You know, I seen the video of him teaching with King Mashal, man. That's very powerful. You know, but that just goes to show that even the Lord can take the mightiest. You know, he was a giant in that day, man. That's the true definition of a giant. Back in those times, man. Back in the day, he was a giant. You know, I mean, you know, the Spirit came on him to know and to break down that 12 tribes of Israel, and to know who the 12 tribes of Israel are. So the Lord, you know, use that man to accomplish a certain set of accomplishments, and you know, ultimately make him later on to speak falsely. But we love that elder brother dearly, man. That, you know, because without him, you know, we wouldn't have our elder apostles. You know, so even though he's not teaching right these days, you know, he's got to be old. You know, he's got to be up there in age, probably 70s. You know, but, you know, his time here isn't going to be too much longer, man. All of our time here in America isn't going to be too much longer, man. The Lord is about to do away with this place and set us up, Lord's will, in our rightful place as heirs of righteousness, man. As heirs of the kingdom of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So let me just go ahead and go back to the video here. Finish that video out, and then I'm going to end the video. Or in the news broadcast out, and then in the video. The spirit is just on me to say this, but all you guys out there, man, who say that you don't have elders, you learn this yourself, man. The Lord is going to deal with you, man. The Lord is going to deal with you. He's going to deal with your children, man. That's the type of power that we that we're dealing with here, man. The Lord is not playing no games. So you brothers out there who are going renegade, you're on your renegade status, man. You better check in with your how about Shemal Shah, because the Lord ain't dealing with these one man bands. Now you got certain brothers who teach by themselves, but they're under one accord with the true doctrine of how about Shemal Shah. They ain't freestyling it. Anyways, let me get back to this.
Gabe Gutierrez reports from Portland, Oregon.
Night after night after night. The clashes in Portland were relentless, and many police officers felt targeted. Oregon. Night after night after night. The clashes in Portland were relentless, and many police officers felt targeted.
Morale, I think, is at an all-time low now.
The precinct where Officer Krutta Runsuck works is still boarded up more than a year after George Floyd's murder.
We're being held responsible for the actions of an officer that's across the country, and I don't think that's fair.
Since last July, at least 115 Portland officers have left the force, either by resigning or retiring. There are now barely 800 left. Just last week, members of the city's rapid response team resigned from that unit after one officer was charged with excessive force during a protest last year.
We're stereotyped.
Daryl Turner is the police union's executive director. He retired in January.
We're dealing with rioting at a level and a sustained violence that we've never seen before, gun violence in a city like we've never seen before. We're looking at the most catastrophic staffing levels we've ever seen before.
It's a problem that's exploded nationwide. Several cities have faced calls to defund the police. Others have slashed budgets due to COVID. More and more officers say they feel villainized like never before. A survey of about 200 police departments finds that retirements are up 45% and resignations 18% when compared with the previous year.
We've reached a breaking point.
Sergeant Jake Verhalen in Folsom, California says Floyd's death has rippled across even smaller departments like his, where recruiting new officers is getting much harder.
Some of it has to do with paying benefits, but I think there is a bigger picture, and that being this public discourse, if you will, against the police. And some young people perhaps are asking themselves the question, is that really a career path that I want to go down?
In Richmond, Virginia, Officer Carol Adams is now trying to mend relationships within her community. As a Black woman, last year's protest felt even more personal.
I'm standing as a human being and I'm processing as a human being. Do you think you can help me with the dollar? I'm gonna give you a dollar too. You can't separate me. You can't make me one or the other. I'm both.
That duality even more drastic, as many officers say within months they went from being considered heroes on the front lines to enemies.
It all boils down to these three main concepts of being underfunded, understaffed, and undersupported.
And now uncertainty about their future. Gabe here is NBC News.
Man, as you can see, you didn't see one young cop besides the, looks like he was maybe Jaffet, maybe Moab. But besides him, and even him, he was, a little bit older. He looked like he was maybe late 30s. You're seeing that the police force is, just getting older and older. Look at the lady on the right. She looks like she's about to fucking fall asleep. You got Jake on the left. He's fucking, he's retired. So he ain't, he's not even a factor. And then you got the one guy right here. He looks juiced out. He looks like he's ready to take his badge and resign right now. Which good, because a lot of people want to say that we don't know what he had to go through. Look at what Jake is going through, man. That's why, the more you get into this truth, you realize that it's a reason why he's in the position that he's in. Okay? Now, that's a spirit. You look at this. Right? See, man, and the Lord will show you things if you're looking close enough, man. All right? You look right here. Number one, let's go into this right here, man. So you got this star right here. Which that star, that looks awfully like the Star of David, Trying to say basically that they're the law, which here E is the law. So the laws he comes up, these are the people that he uses to enforce these laws, man. So you can see that badge is a symbol of honor and respect. All right, but more importantly, when you look right here, I don't know what that says. Iter ad astra. Let me look that up. Let's see what that's talking about. That's got to mean something significant. So we're just going to see. Bear with me. Okay, so it says, sic iter ad astra, which is Latin. It says, thus one goes to the stars. Such is the way to immortality. All right. So if you think about that, okay, thus one goes to the stars. Such is the way to immortality. So in order for them to have this place eternally, in order for E to have this place forever and keep us in subjection forever, speaking about Israel, right? They gotta go to the stars. Okay, the only way for you to keep this place in subjection is to keep Israel in subjection. Okay, thus one goes to the stars. That one is E. E didn't go to the other nations. E went to Jake, right? E during the times of the serpent, he already had the other nations in his hand. He needed Jake. He needed Jake to lead the world in wickedness. He needed Adam and Eve to turn from Yahweh Shem Yahushua in order to fully implement a wicked agenda. See, because these other nations, they're not important, man. that serpent, which was a man, right, with the spiritual demon Satan within him, right? He had melanin. He was a melanated person, right? He came to Adam and Eve with an idea, right? He basically came with the idea of what? Sic iter ad astra. Thus one goes to the stars. So this damn devil, he went to the stars. He went to Jacob, right, with the idea of what? Well, come and live amongst us, be amongst us, do the things that we do, right? Such is the way to immortality. So isn't that what that damn serpent said to Eve, right? It's talking about immortality. It's talking about the tree of good and evil, which I could, go to that in Genesis, but that's a whole nother lesson, man. All right, so let me read that one more time. Sic iter ad astra. Thus one goes to the stars. Such is the way to immortality. So by this damn devil setting himself up, right? He believes that he's going to live forever, man. He really does believe that. He really does believe that his house is going to continue to be established, man. All right. So when you look right here, you got that above, and you have some woman, right, which is E. And then you have, see, these devils do everything backwards. So in her right hand, she has a sword, which that sword right there is a representation of E, right? Which right now is resting upon her shoulder, meaning that it's not to be used yet. All right, so this sword right here is a representation of E, and everything that E stands for, his weaponry, his power structure, right, which is resting upon her shoulder. It's not to be used yet. That sword is going to be used real soon, man. Right, and on her left, and in her left hand, what does she have? She has the balances, which they say this represents, law and order. But really, this represents the northern and the southern kingdom, a just balance. And that's why this damn devil put it in the left hand of this woman, right? Trying to say that we are the wicked, right? Not only that, but you can see that this right here is below the sword. So saying that we are below the power structure of Eve, which isn't to be used here. You can tell just by the way that she's dressed that this is during the times of Greece or Rome or something like that. Which it says right here, it says City of Richmond, July 19th, 1782. What was Jake doing? Jake was in the plantations during that. So this whole image right here is a representation of oppression, right? Jake being the just balances. See, Jake should be in the right hand right here, and it should be held high above this sword. This sword should be down here, right? Really in the ground, in the dust. That sword should be tossed down in the ground, in the dust down here, right? And this should be in her right hand, and it should be held up here, man. And it's going to be, man. Law and order is going to be established through Yahweh Bashem Yahushua in the kingdom of heaven, man. But that's just something that, you got to pay close attention to. You got to pay close attention to Eve's symbolism, man. Because he'll show you everything you need to see.
Portland, Oregon. Up next, as we continue tonight, scoring the best deals on Amazon and other competing retailers. Amazon's annual Prime Day event has arrived, but this year the online giant has a lot of competition. Vicky Nguyen now with the price you pay.
Amazon Prime Day, the cousin to Black Friday and Cyber Monday, prompting the family of mega retailers to supercharge summer spending.
Consumers should expect big sales from Amazon, but also from lots of competitors: Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Best Buy, Kohl's.
Retail experts say expect the best deals on small home appliances, robotic and stick vacuums, beauty products, and toys. Amazon promising 2 million deals, including a 32-inch smart TV for $129. Target has an electric razor for $100, and Walmart selling the Nest doorbell camera for $149. Use price comparison sites like Camelizer and Popcart to make sure the sale really is a good deal. To stretch your dollar, shop through cashback apps or websites like Coupon Cabin and Rakuten.
If Walmart and Target and Amazon all have the same price, but you find a 6% cashback offer, you've automatically saved yourself 6% more.
And to avoid overspending, make a list, set a budget, and do your homework by looking at verified and professional reviews. Always read the one-star reviews for red flags.
If you have buyer's remorse once the boxes show up, returns are easier than ever. Whole Foods, Kohl's, and UPS among the many stores now accepting your unwanted items. Just have that return code ready, and remember, you have 30 days to get your refund. Lester?
All right, Vicki, thank you. A follow-up now, those high lumber prices we reported on, now they're falling substantially as people are getting out and cutting back on home projects. Lumber futures, and yes, there is such a thing, are down more than 50% for the year. With just over a month until the Tokyo Olympics, organizers announced today that up to 10,000 fans can attend events despite ongoing COVID concerns. Masks will be required and cheering is prohibited. No foreign fans are permitted. That's Nightly News for this Monday. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'm Lester Holt. Please take care of your...
All right, so all of that is through. The Olympics is through, which the Olympics goes back to Greece. I believe Rome also. But I know definitely Greece, in which they used to have Jake. They used to have Jake naked, man, naked wrestling. Naked track. So I typed in the definition for Olympics. It says an ancient pan-Hellenic festival held every fourth year and made up of contests of sports, music, and literature, with the victor's prize a crown of wild olives. Which, if you think about it, that's a slap in the face to Israel, because the scriptures speak about the wild olive tree, about how basically Jacob was taken from a noble, goodly vine, right? A noble, goodly olive tree, and was turned wild and senseless. There's also all sorts of debaucheries was taking place during the Olympic Games, just like they're going to be, coming up in this current Olympic Games, right? So that's a slap in the face. All right, it says example 2, a modified revival of the ancient Olympic Games consisting of international athletic contests that are held at separate winter and summer gatherings at 4-year intervals. So just like before, in the times of Greece, you had people from all over the world coming to Greece, coming to Rome and whatnot. I'm just going to type in Olympics origin. All right, so it says the Olympic Games, which originated in ancient Greece as many as 3,000 years ago, were revived in the late 19th century, in which, once again, that's how you know that this is a revival of the Greco-Roman Empire. You know what I mean? It was revived in the late 19th century, right? And had become the world's preeminent sporting competition. The first modern Olympics took place in 1896 in Athens and featured 280 participants from 13 nations competing in 43 events. It says the history of the games goes back around 3,000 years to the Peloponnese in ancient Greece. Sports contests organized at Olympia took place every 4 years and acquired the name Olympic Games. It says we do not know exactly when they started, but the date of 776 BC is often cited in written sources. All right, so I'm just going to read this and then end in the video. It says, because there was a question, why did the Olympic Games start in ancient Greece? It says the Greeks loved sport, and the Olympic Games were the biggest sporting event in the ancient calendar. The Olympic Games began over 2,700 years ago in Olympia in southwest Greece. The ancient games were also a religious festival held in honor of Zeus, the king of the gods. Right, which that's part of that following them idols, man. In the 5 rings, right, that are the Olympic symbol of those 5 rings. The interlocking rings of the Olympic flag was created by Baron Pierre de Coubertin, the co-founder of the modern Olympic Games, which most likely was he. It says the 5 rings represented the 5 participating continents of the time: Africa, Asia, America, Europe, and Oceania. So there you go. It's ridiculous, man. All right. Oh, well, I hit the points that I needed to hit as far as that, man. So this is the second volume of News and Prophecy, man. All right, the prophecies are passing at an ever so rapid rate, man. You brothers continue, to lift brothers up in prayer, man. Continue to look for these prophecies. Continue to watch, man. We have to stand up. Let me get that. Let me end on that. We have to stand upon our watch. All right, so this is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 1. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, right? The tower of the Yahushua. I will watch to see what he will say unto me and what I shall answer when I am reproved. All right. So Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahushua, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahushua, Barakatha Yahweh, Mahashem, Mashiach, Yahushua, Mahashem, Ha-Rakaha Kadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well, tell me it's true. And honors to you brothers who are bringing this word out in sincerity and in faith, man. We almost up out of here, brothers. Just keep pushing. We got to keep pushing day in and day out, man. All right. I can to you brothers too, man. I can't say that enough. You brothers, you few sisters out there that, subscribe to the teachings of Yahweh Shem Yahushua through the elder apostles of Great Millstone, and you other brothers, right, who are teaching this word in the proper doctrine, like the men of valor, that's one notable group. But once again, call halal Yahweh Shem Yahshai, Shem Rakakadosh Barak coming to you, brothers, man. All right, this is your brother Jasham, and may the Lord continue to work with you, brothers, man. You know, who have that sincerity and that faith. Okay, Shalom.